What is the domain of all linear functions? Have you ever wondered what the domain of linear functions is? It might sound complex, but it is actually quite simple. The domain of all linear functions is the set of all real numbers. This means you can use any real number as an input for a linear function without any restrictions. In simpler terms, you can plug in any number, whether it is positive, negative, or zero, into a linear function and receive a valid output. To understand why this is the case, let's look at what a linear function is. A linear function creates a straight line when graphed. It can be expressed in the form of a function, where f of x equals m times x plus b here, m and b are constants, and is the input variable. Since linear functions do not involve square roots, denominators, or other operations that could limit the input values, there are no restrictions on x therefore, the domain is all real numbers. For example, take the function f of x equals 2 times x plus 3. You can substitute any real number for x, and the function will produce a corresponding y value. This holds true for any linear function where the slope is not 0. Now, if the slope equals 0, the function becomes f of x equals b, which is a constant function. This represents a horizontal line. Even in this case, the domain remains all real numbers because you can still input any x value, but the output will always be the constant b. In practical terms, this means linear functions can model relationships where the input can vary freely across all real numbers. Think about time, distance, or temperature. These relationships do not have natural restrictions on the input values. To summarize, the domain of any linear function is all real numbers. This is because linear functions are defined for every possible x value. In interval notation, the domain can be written as negative infinity to positive infinity. The only exceptions occur if a specific problem or real-world context imposes limits on the inputs. However, mathematically, the domain is unrestricted. Understanding this concept helps learners see that linear functions are straightforward and predictable regarding their inputs. This makes them a fundamental building block in algebra and graphing.